Thank you, Sami. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as was said already, Energy Union is now one of the key topics which is discussed everywhere, and not only in Brussels, but also between the leaders, politicians, so on and so forth. And energy is really becoming absolutely the hottest issue. What I used to say in the beginning, always when I do some introduction about the Energy Union, I used to say that Energy Union means something totally different for different people, different member states. When you ask, for example, people from Nordic countries, what does it mean, Energy Union, mostly for them, it's predominantly renewable energy, biofuels, so on and so forth. When you go to other, other side of the Europe, for example, southeastern part of the Europe, Central and Eastern Europe, Energy Union means predominantly security of supply, possibility to assure diversification of supply of energy, and predominantly in that part of Europe it is security of supply of gas. When we should speak about internal and external dimensions, well, frankly speaking, it's not so easy task to differentiate between internal and external dimensions because they are very clearly interlinked. When we use, for example, our dependence on external suppliers, if we want to decrease this dependence, this is typical external dimension, but at the same time we can do it directly through internal elements, which are, for example, energy efficiency, diversification of sources and resources, or just simply by creation of a real single energy market. I mentioned diversification and security of supply because this is, as was just said a few minutes ago, probably the hottest issue during these days. What is absolutely crucial in these elements is really to assure proper supply from different sources. Because, for example, when we look at western part of European Union, there is not so many discussion about diversification of supply. The reason is very simple, because there is enough interconnections, there is enough traditionally enough sources of for example, gas or even electricity. Electricity is not so good example for this kind of cooperation, but in case of gas, which is not the case, as I mentioned, in Central and Eastern Europe. In that part of Europe, we have still, for example, 5 member states which are dependent on a supply from 1/3 country, from Russia. And this clearly has to be overcome. Potential possibility, Southern Gas Corridor. You know that during these days is a lot of discussion about the possibilities to getting the gas from Caspian region, from predominantly Azerbaijan through Turkey. I'm just mentioning these as a hint because I'm sure that follow-up discussion can be also sort of can bring some additional elements and ideas to this element of Energy Union. Speaking about security of supply, one new element which has received strong support from leaders from all member states is increased transparency. Of course, there is a lot of discussion about common purchases of gas, but I have to say that this is not an element which is crucial and element which also, for example, European Commission wants to push forward heavily. It's as an option. It can be, of course, used as a possibility on the voluntary basis and, of course, under strict necessity to follow the rules, WTO competition and so on and so forth. That means it's not so easy to really implement the common purchases. It seems that more important is really to use the transparency, and transparency which can bring the element which is also very oftenly mentioned, and this is speaking in one voice. because really if we know what we are doing, I mean what other member states are doing or what other countries which are negotiating with our suppliers are doing, and if we do it at the same basis, at the same information we share between each other, that could bring, of course, much better result. Typical internal element or internal dimension in case of energy union is building of internal energy market. I do not want to spend a lot of time with it because this is really, I would say this is the must. We cannot discuss about the way, if and under which conditions and when. Everybody has to implement the legislation as soon as possible. This is simple like that. Of course, we introduce some additional elements and new elements to this, and this is predominantly the regulation element, because we think that we need to strengthen the regulation element in it, and you know that our idea is to strengthen the competencies of ACER, Agency for Cooperation of Energy Regulators. Important element, of course, internal is concerns public investments. Commission did a lot in this respect recently. You know, we came with the proposal of European Fund for Strategic Investment, because without proper interconnections we cannot speak about functioning internal energy market. Last but not least, I do not want to speak a lot, is governance. This is also a subject which is creating a lot of even emotions, I would say, between a lot of people. I can tell you that next week will be quite important, because next week we want to launch the process which is linked to governance. We will present so-called country fishes, because now we are completing our analysis of all 28 member states from the point of view of energy union. We will send the country fishes next week to all heads of states and governments, and then Vice President Šefčovič will start energy union tour, which is, well, we call it energy union tour, but the idea is to start the dialogue with member states to discuss how do we see the energy sector and energy union in each and every member state, how do they see the our analysis, what they can do, what they should do, how we can help them. As a result of this feedback from member states, we will produce end of October, maybe November, first State of the Energy Union paper, which should be as a basis for next follow-up exercise. We are planning that as from next year, each member state should present to European Commission national energy plan, and based on this energy plan we will start and we will continue I would say very deep dialogue with each member state how to build the energy union, because it is not only about what does it mean energy union for each member state, but where are the deficiencies, where are the weaknesses, where are the opportunities, what should be done by each and every member state in order to bring this project into reality.
Very good. Thank you very much, Juraj.
Thank you very much.